called Digital Marketing Masters, the fundamentals of successful digital marketing campaigns. As I mentioned, I'm Lisa Weir, founder and CEO of Oneupweb. With me, I have Carly Woodjuk, Oneupweb's Director of Marketing.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to give you a little bit of quick history on the Digital Roadshow. This hasn't always been a digital roadshow. It was an actual roadshow at one point in time, where myself and 6 of Oneupweb's talented employees hopped in my motorhome and traveled around the state of Michigan giving free advice to small businesses and actually mid-sized businesses. So we wanted to continue on with that and bring it to a larger audience, and so we've turned this into a digital roadshow that essentially allows anyone across the country and in fact, around the globe to attend.
Yeah, and we launched the Digital Roadshow series. We actually launched a microsite so that you have one continuous place to go to. That's digitalroadshow.oneupweb.com. And as Lisa mentioned, this is now a monthly series. And the principle behind the series is really that you control what we're talking about in most cases. Today's a little bit of an exception where we actually are going to dissect some campaigns that we've chosen in advance. But our goal is really to help people across the globe. So submit your questions. I know a number of you submitted them when you actually registered for today's session. So we've got those, and you can actually submit your questions throughout today's broadcast, and Lisa and I will answer them at the end. So that's the basic principle behind it. We pick the date, we pick the topic, and the rest is really, truly up to you. And this slide really is just a quick snapshot showing exactly what Lisa was talking about. Our hope is that we can reach a much broader audience and help businesses across the globe. And this is a snapshot of some of the people that we've got registered and tuning in with us today. So mission accomplished.
Impressive.
So I think we can get started. Before we actually jump into the first campaign, though, I just want to lay out a little bit about the format that we're going to go through. We're going to actually discuss the campaign up front. So we are looking at big brand campaigns today. We're going to break down the actual tactics and strategies that they use to make the campaign a success. And then we're actually going to take a look at the technology and some of the tools that they use to promote the campaign. And then the most important part being that we're going to actually break the campaign apart and talk about how it actually applies to the people that are on the line today.
All of you may not be big brands.
And, of course, again, reminder, you can submit your questions throughout this afternoon's episode, and we'll answer them at the end.
Great. So I'll say, I know Carly has invested a lot of time in pulling together some of these examples to show you today. There are a lot of impressive ones out there, some of them a little more notable than others. One of the things I'll say that I think is common between all of them is that they're really utilizing social media in a huge way. And these campaigns are truly integrated efforts with other online channels, which make them digital. So, first one, Carly.
Show us your pizza. This is actually a Dominos campaign. Some of you may have seen it at this point. It's the third phase of their whole pizza turnaround campaign that they actually launched in January.
Was this in direct response to the obnoxious video that came out on YouTube?
We are actually going to get to the obnoxious video that came out on YouTube. That was last April. Well, April of 2009, so over a year ago. But in January, they launched the pizza turnaround campaign for 2 reasons. Obviously, their brand share had been eroded and consumer trust was gone. And the other one is that people were saying their pizza wasn't very good. And so they actually broadcasted those comments. And that was the beginning of this campaign. So they started with the pizza turnaround campaign where they actually aired their dirty laundry. The second phase of this campaign was the pizza holdout campaign, where they were actually calling out proposed consumers that hadn't tried the new pizza yet. And the third phase is this, show us your pizza. And this is a screenshot quickly of their homepage right now where you can see they're actively promoting the campaign. And the principle behind the campaign is exactly what this looks like. What does it take to get that beautiful shot of that pizza?
And I hadn't seen this video before. I do have a commercial photography background, and we've done some food photography, but there are things in this video that I was pretty shocked at. And follow up to this real quick, we are going to have a one-sheeter available on the microsite. In fact, it is already there, that will give you the URLs for all of the videos that we're going to be talking about today, or all of the websites. So you'll be able to get that. So anyways, they started off with kind of this documentary or behind-the-scenes view of how professional photographers use food photography and what they go through to make that pizza look so good on their advertising.
And it's almost disturbing. The video is over 3 minutes long. They're screwing pepperonis into boards. It's a huge production. Sam, that you can see at the top, is their pizza chef. He's been on the forefront of this entire campaign since last January, so he's in it, making the pizzas. They've got hand models, food stylists, studio lights, and in the end they basically come forth and say that it took about 150 people to shoot a 30-second spot, melting the cheese and pulling it, and it's crazy. And in the end they say it doesn't make our pizza taste any better, which was the basis of this whole campaign. So they said, we're going to roll back another layer.
Essentially, they wanted to show the ridiculousness of what it takes to get some good food photography or a spot for a TV ad.
Yeah, and really in doing that, they showed a commitment to their new product. Right. They're not only saying we made every effort to make it taste better, we're actually proud enough of it that we'll let you take the photo of our pizza. We don't need to go through all of this anymore. So here you can see what's on the screen right now is their Pizza Promise. This is on the microsite that they actually just launched to go along with this campaign, showusyourpizza.com. And again, as Lisa mentioned, you can go to digitalroadshow.oneupweb.com and get the PDF with all the URLs. But here, basically, they're saying we will make our own pizzas. We won't bring in a food stylist to make it, and we'll only photograph real pizza. And so beyond all of this, on the microsite, they've launched a consumer-generated media campaign, basically asking people to submit pictures of their pizza.
And some of them have. I think today there were 300 and some odd photographs that people had sent in, and they're offering a small incentive for whoever takes the best shot gets a $500 check. But I thought both of these videos, if you click on the assignment tab, which is up right now there, you've got a video example of their pizza chef, and then the photo promise actually goes into what's happening behind the scenes there. Mm-hmm. But this is all being driven by consumers.
Yeah, lots of babies and pizzas on that site right now. But so that's an actual shot of the microsite and some of the images that they've got coming in right now. And here we go to the dirty little secret.
The thing that started off. Yeah.
Which is another part of the sort of brilliance behind this campaign is the fact that just 15 months ago, this is what was going on. They were one of the first brands, not the first, but to make national news really tied to how social media can ruin a brand. And the YouTube video came out, and there were, of course, some employees that had done awful things. And rather than shy away from it, they have used social media to their advantage to really rebuild.
And we talked about this in one of our earlier webinars where we used kind of the dark side of this as an example. But one of the impressive things that I thought Domino's did is as soon as this video hit YouTube, they were shooting a video of I believe it was either their president or their VP, really apologizing to people versus some large corporations that we may all be familiar with sweeping problems under the rug and pretending they don't exist. They came right out and addressed it head on, and they turned it around and made it a beneficial thing for them.
Yeah, and the CEO that actually addressed, I'm going to change the slide just because it's disgusting to look at. The CEO that addressed and apologized for those two employees on YouTube in immediate response to that YouTube video also was a part of the beginning of this pizza turnaround campaign. There was actually a video of him again saying, hey, okay, now you're saying our pizza isn't even good anyway, so I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make my customers happy. So he's been a big part of it, and that's probably their number one tactic and strategy that's making this whole campaign work right now is transparency. That's what they needed to really rebuild trust with their audience.
And looking at the integration piece, they have a number of things that they're doing online. They've got the microsite. They've got the YouTube channel. We've seen the ads on TV. What else? Do they have anything else going? Actually, we're going to cover that. But truly integrating search, truly integrating all of this, although I did notice earlier today that they hadn't taken into account SEO, because if you type in Domino's Pizza, that website doesn't even come up. But integrating all of those channels is key.
Definitely. They've got this campaign nailed down even to their pizza boxes right now.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. You can't escape it. So they've done a great job. Their channels are feeding each other. Consumer-generated content, of course, people like to contribute as long as you make it meaningful to your audience and or offer a great reward. In this case, they're only offering $500, but a lot of people are submitting these pictures because someday you could say, hey, I took that picture of the pizza in the Domino's commercial.
Right.
So it's really working to their benefit, and it could do that for just about any brand. Also, the concept of running this as a multi-phase campaign, which leads into the next bullet, talking about social media. But they didn't just send out a quick blast and then let this die and hope that it would rebuild their brand. They keep building on this campaign, and the whole campaign, as I keep mentioning, they're calling it the Pizza Turnaround Campaign. And each phase that they've rolled out has really made you sort of ask the question, did they really just do that? Did they really just say that their pizza was awful?
Yeah.
Did they really just say that they're going to show up at my doorstep if I don't eat it? Did they really just show it?
It's been pretty interesting, to watch it. And then the social media piece. One of the important parts, and we talk to our clients about this all the time, if you don't build your social network right now, you're going to be talking to air when you need it.
Correct.
So it's really important to build that network. In the case of Facebook, you need to get those likes or friends connecting with you. Twitter, the followers, YouTube subscribers, whatever that is. If you don't have an audience, you're talking to no one.
Exactly. And when you need to be talking to someone, whether it's for good or to combat something that's negative, if you don't first have that network, it's not going to fare very well for you. So it's critical, and they've done a good job of that. And asking people to contribute to this campaign as they are in this phase. If they didn't have a good following, they wouldn't have any submissions. Yeah,
and we've said it before, it takes a long time. If you're just now getting into the social space, it takes a long time to build that network up and a lot of effort. So the suggestion is to start now.
And a contest, we've talked about it numerous times, they're offering $500 plus the chance to have your photo used in their ad. Ease of purchase, if you go back and look at any of their sites that they've got up right now, be it Dominos.com, their YouTube channel, their social profiles, any of these microsites, almost at the forefront, more so than participating in this campaign, is purchasing the pizza. And they've been running the same promotion, I believe it's buy two medium pizzas at a discounted price of, I think, $5.99 since the beginning. And so that's been tied at every level. And they probably have one of the most sophisticated online ordering systems I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know you're impressed.
I'm very impressed by it. So they've done a really good job of making buying easy. Most importantly, is it working?
Yeah, when you shared this slide with me yesterday, I was really impressed at what had happened with their stock prices.
Yeah, stock prices are up nearly 50%. This is from the reports that we were able to gather. I would imagine that doesn't extend beyond the second quarter, so we're into the third. We'll see how well this continues. They've got over 530,000 consumers making up their fan base on Facebook. And interestingly enough, just to quantify that, because I know a lot of people wonder what the value of their social network is, SynCaps did a study in June, which basically found that the average value of a Facebook fan for a brand is around $137. It's considerably higher for some, lower for others. But assuming that they are just average, their fan base right now is worth about $73 million to them on Facebook alone, which is amazing.
Well, and it's fantastic that in-store sales have gone up, because a lot of these Domino's, not all, but most of them are franchisee owned.
Right.
And so to see an impact in the store is critical.
Yeah, of 14% within the first few months that the campaign had even launched. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to assume they've got another phase of this campaign rolling out as we approach the fourth quarter. That seems how they have been rolling them out to date. Technology channels we covered a little bit. Television commercials, this is a huge budget they're running with. Custom social profiles, search marketing, to some degree, they've got a little work to do there. Display advertising, microsites, their website, their ordering systems. So they've really gone all out, the pizza boxes, billboards, you name it.
Let me interject one thing. People that don't think they can afford to buy television, if you're not familiar with it, Google has launched a new program that allows you to buy TV spots or bid on remnant space. So I would suggest that if you're thinking about a campaign and you believe that TV has to be excluded, kind of rethink that strategy and look into Google's opportunities. And you might be on late night on some, cable channel, but at least you're getting in front of some eyeballs at that point that you may not be.
And to that end as well, Lisa, you're absolutely right. And what we've got up here is you might not necessarily have to run national television spots. You can get very targeted right now and reach out to your specific audience, and Google TV has really made all of that very accessible. This, of course, is here sort of where we're talking about the tactics that people can apply. All of it. Every single part of this campaign could be applied to just about any brand. And the tools as well. Facebook, the Open Graph has become a critical part of many successful campaigns right now, custom tabs, consumer-generated media through YouTube and YouTube Direct search and display, of course.
Yeah, I like this slide. Basically, this is the point where we step in and tell you that just because we're covering large brands today doesn't mean that you can't apply some of the tactics and strategies they've used. So stay tuned, pay attention. We've got more coming up here. That was our commercial break. We're moving on.
The next campaign is a little bit difficult to describe, so do go and check out the links that we've got posted so you can watch the video that explains this campaign. Drastically different from the campaign that we just covered. This is a little bit more of a cause marketing type campaign. So it was for a business. It's for an actual newspaper and intended for profit. The long story short, things in Zimbabwe are awful. The country, people are really dying at the hands of this Mugabe regime. And so as a result, journalists in Zimbabwe have really been exiled from the country. And so they've started this paper. It's called the Zimbabwean. And as you can see, their tagline is a voice for the voiceless. And their concept was to report from outside of Zimbabwe to the people of Zimbabwe what's really going on. So people are...
the world, really. They needed the world to understand, too, what was going on, right?
Right, exactly.
So...
Little technical snafu there.
Did we stop breathing? All right. Well, the thing about this campaign is they had a cause. They needed to get a support from a global audience. They wanted to communicate what was going on in Zimbabwe to its own people, and they had very little budget. I mean, we're talking really zero.
Very little budget. And the other thing underlying is that they needed to somehow subsidize this paper so that they could, people could afford to purchase it. The regime had put a luxury tax on it. They have inflation that's unlike any country ever in history. And wait till you see, they've got these $100 trillion bills because they're basically printing their own money, but the money's worth nothing. And that is what this agency used to create this campaign. The tactics, of course, let's just show and not tell. That really was, they could report any headline they wanted to. They knew they needed to find something that would really catch attention and make the world stand up and pay attention to what's going on.
I think this is an amazing campaign. It's some of the things they've done.
It's brilliant. The first shot here you can see, just to give you an idea, this is here a $10 million bill, which is absurd. And you can see there's a little stamp on it that says, fight the regime that has crippled the country. And it links to the Zimbabwean website, which is the paper. And
there's $1 trillion bill up there above it.
It's actually, they even have a $100 trillion bill.
Great.
Yeah, craziness. So, but this is shocking. This would be something shocking to receive outside of the country, which is what they also used in their favor, just printing on these not dollar bills, but this Zimbabwean currency and handing it out. and it worked. Here you can see a billboard that's actually made up of real money, and where they're saying, here you go, thanks to Mugabe, this money is wallpaper. We've made a whole billboard out of it. Because what they did find was that printing on the money was less expensive than printing on paper.
And so this allows people to take a piece of one of these. Well, there it is. People are taking pieces.
Yep.
And it helps spread the word. It became viral pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah, it went off very quickly. And as you can see right here, within a week of the campaign's launch, so within a week of stamping currency, traffic to the Zimbabwean site increased by more than 19 million views. I would say that
fantastic
worked.
Yeah.
Sales of the paper itself increased 276%. Over 3,000 hits on Google for the $1 trillion billboard.
Just that billboard alone brought that much traffic.
Yeah. The campaign hit the web. The web is really what allowed this campaign to go viral. This was a print campaign. The web allowed it to spread globally, and once it hit the web, it was covered on more than 800 websites and blogs around the globe. So they definitely accomplished their goal of making the world pay attention with virtually nothing. And it's actually now on permanent exhibit at the British Museum in London. I think this is probably now officially the most award-winning advertising campaign ever. And it worked.
It beat out Where's the Beef?
And I Love You, Man.
Okay. Well, so tactics that you can apply here. We talk about this a lot here at Oneupweb because ourselves, we're a marketing company, but we still have to market our services. And while we incorporate all of the traditional and digital channels that everybody incorporates, we're always trying to think of that guerrilla tactic that we could be using that would help us get a little more attention or help us get a little ahead of the game. And I think that's exactly what has been done here. That creative thinking and shock factor was really more of a guerrilla tactic, putting those posters up on buildings and the billboard and getting people to hand those bills out to friends. And that's exactly what that was.
It was brilliant. And it was absolutely exactly what you said. Using the tools that are available, using the fundamentals that work, but using them in an entirely different way, something that hasn't been done before. Rather than waiting around or trying to read case studies, just saying, hey, I think this is going to work and this is what I'm doing. And it did. The technology and tools, this was a simple campaign. It was a billboard. They had a website and street team, some currency and a stamp. And after that...
Yeah, and do they have social channels too, I believe?
I don't know that they do,
okay.
Actually.
All right.
I would have to double check that. I'm not positive that they actually do have social channels. Do you want to move on?
Oh, wow.
I just gave a glimpse of the next campaign.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is one that I would recommend that you take a look at. Go to the website, and again, we'll have the links to some of those in that paper on the website. So, yeah, let's go on to the next one.
Now that everyone knows what it is. We couldn't possibly have done this webinar without
covering this
campaign, even though it's really now coming into some controversy, which is interesting.
This is the Old Spice campaign, for those of you who may not know it. I was enlightened a few weeks ago, but really interesting to watch what's gone on with this.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the controversy, though, so I'll have to ask you about that as we get going here. So Old Spice, it's an old brand that was getting pretty tired. They wanted to I was going to say euthanize it. No, they didn't want to euthanize it, but they did want to make it younger. And so here's a great example of, well, this is a company that's backed by, it's owned by Gillette. So there's lots of money behind it, lots of big agency behind it, but there are lessons to be learned here for smaller companies.
Yes. Huge budget campaign, but many layers of cleverness and very strategic in making this work. So beyond the giant budget, the strategies that they use, you touched on the fact that it's an old brand and they wanted to really sort of breathe some life back into it and reposition it. Old Spice reminded me of my grandfather before this campaign.
Yeah, me too. A little white bottle.
With the ship. And I'm pretty sure I'm not alone. And they wanted to target a younger audience, which they had started to do, and really break out of the aftershave market and get into the whole male product care line. They faced a very large competitor in that space that had done a great job of capturing that market. And they used the tactic of, hey, it's the females that are buying this product for the males. Let's find a way that we can appeal to both of them. So they've used the strapping young man that supposedly all men would like to be like. And the concept here is smell like a man. And he's talking to the ladies in all of these ads about how they wish their husband or significant other could be like him, but they could at least smell like him.
So in this case, they have their own branded YouTube channel, their own Facebook page, just for this campaign, and their own Twitter.
Their own everything.
Presence. Yeah.
Ringtones, Super Bowl commercials. Here you can see their YouTube channel. If you haven't seen any portion of this campaign, particularly we're going to get into the most recent component of the campaign, which really made it take off, go to their YouTube channel and watch some of their advertisements. Most recently, you may have heard they did the Twitter response campaign, whereby the character, I cannot think of his name right now to save my life.
And I knew it too. I know Tim knows it.
Mustafa. Isaiah Mustafa sat in basically his shower studio with the creative comedy writers of the agency that created this campaign for about 48 hours and made video responses to tweets.
Immediate,
almost 100% in real time. And they're hilarious. So they actually started responding to very influential people on Twitter. There was a lot on his tweets back and forth between Alyssa Milano. He actually ended up sending her flowers. So they started talking to people that they knew would really help propel this campaign forward. There was a marriage proposal, and 48 hours later, it all ended. Now,
the TV ads alone are entertaining. I mean, they're really interesting to watch.
Yeah, and that was the original push, because the idea behind it, as amazing as they are, and he goes from scene to scene, is that it's all done in one take. It's really seamless, and there aren't that many special effects outside of him, sitting and flying in a harness. So that was really what started to propel this campaign forward. But it was the Twitter response campaign that just pushed this over the edge, and that was actually last week. So this is.
And how many responses did they do? I remember you telling me this number.
I believe they did 180 video responses
in a 48-hour period.
Yeah,
that's incredible. I mean, just for him to maintain his composure for all of those recordings and those responses is amazing. But the viral effect has been
unbelievable.
Yeah,
they're calling this now the most viral campaign of all time. But going back to what we opened up the slide with, the controversy behind it, everybody now is wanting to know, okay, it was the most viral campaign. It engaged half of the world. What did it do for sales? And that's sort of become the new argument. It's getting picked up by the media a lot right now in terms of what's happening to sales. Have they gone up? Have they gone down? And we'll get to that slide in a minute. But the question is, for the moment, sales aren't up.
Well,
sales of that particular brand.
Kind of.
Right.
We'll talk about that. But let's talk about the tactics and the strategy, because it is very funny. Most of them. Some of them were a little, I didn't get it. But most of them were really funny and engaging and caused you to want to share those with people.
Correct.
The integration piece. Did you tell me that they had done a Super Bowl ad for this campaign?
Yes.
So this started back in January.
Correct. Yep. I believe that was the launch of the campaign.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but big budget campaign. And so they've continued to do the TV promotion. They're selling Old Spice products. They're everywhere. This is probably the biggest budget campaign that we're even going to talk about today. Social media, obviously, is driving this campaign now. It's what pushed this campaign into the media and helped further its effect. And again, the same idea. They had to build their network first. This has been running for a while. They didn't just try to do this on Twitter in January. So they built their network first. And then engaging influencers. The Twitter campaign, they were responding to influencers on Twitter first and foremost.
Those people that had a lot of followers or had a large presence on Twitter alone.
The CEO of Dave.
Yeah. And then the personalization piece of it, being able to have that immediate response. I know yesterday we were talking about this presentation for today, and I mentioned Subservient Chicken, which was a Burger King campaign. And in that case, it was a guy dressed up in a chicken suit, and you typed in a question to him real time, and he was there in front of a webcam, and he acted out whatever it is you typed in. And honestly, this is a play on that same sort of that immediate gratification, satisfaction, response, all of that good stuff that we all love. But it worked great.
You're absolutely right about that. And that's the beauty of these campaigns. And really the purpose of today is to dissect them and say, hey, none of these ideas are necessarily 100% original, but they're using the new tools that they have available to them.
And the one thing I would suggest is even though most of the companies listening today don't have a budget like a Gillette or a Domino's Pizza may have, there are ways to start out smaller. You can start out in a smaller geographic area. You could start off with a less costly, budget. You don't need a big budget. A lot of this stuff can be done internally. You can hire a smaller agency to assist with parts and pieces of it. There are just a lot of different options. You don't need to buy network TV spots on NBC or one of the major networks. You can use cable, and you can purchase advertising through the Google Ad Network. So there are a lot of different options, and laying out a plan, first coming up with that concept, laying out the plan, that strategy, how you're tactically going to pull it off, who's going to be involved, that's the fun stuff. And it can all be done with a smaller budget. We've done things ourselves very similar on a much smaller scale.
Absolutely. Is it working? The controversy slide. The video itself, there are numerous videos associated with this campaign, the original commercials and all the responses. Upwards of 55 million views on YouTube. That's amazing. A network of over 640,000 people have liked Old Spice on Facebook. And again, to just sort of put that in perspective, because it's always questioned, what do these fans mean to me? If the average Facebook user has 130 friends, then Old Spice's most recent message has potentially been served to more than 83 million people just through Facebook.
That's pretty fantastic. That's a third of, probably just less than a third of Facebook's audience.
Yeah, it's amazing. Press coverage. This blows my mind that a deodorant and soap campaign is getting such hefty press coverage. I saw USA Today, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and it's what great advertising, huh? It's soap. A 410% increase in site traffic in the last 30 days. That's amazing. And since they've sort of decided they want to reposition the brand, they now control 20% of the men's deodorant market. Not necessarily as a direct result of this most recent campaign.
Now, you were explaining to me yesterday the sales, in reality, it's tough to tell whether or not this has helped sales because of something that was going on previous.
Correct.
And why don't you explain that for just a second?
First of all, it's a little bit too soon because this campaign has really just started to take off. They are sort of rebounding from the campaign that they were using to reposition the brand that didn't work that well, that may have sort of eroded some of their brand share and dropped sales a little bit. So they've had a big rebound to make. The other thing is the reports we've been reading, the reports everybody's reporting on, is that the sale is for one particular sort of body wash, and that has declined, and that it didn't include Walmart sales. So it's too soon. There's no report really yet to tell whether or not sales have gone through the roof as a result of this.
You've got to imagine it's improved sales.
It has to.
Otherwise, someone at an agency is going to be in big trouble.
Unless the product is really awful, it has to have done something. Technology channels, just briefly, of course, this was the biggest budget. We've covered Super Bowl spots, continuous television spots, custom channels across the board. You can download the Old Spice whistle to your iPhone. You display ads, microsites, you name it. And, of course, a somewhat celebrity spokesperson to step in and become your brand persona. He's definitely a celebrity now.
Yes, he is now. And you can even purchase T-shirts and different apparel through, I believe, their microsite all around this particular campaign.
Yeah. Another interesting thing, I just wanted to point this out, they had one of the most interesting paid search campaigns running in tandem. I Googled Old Spice responses, which, of course, was this most recent Twitter video response campaign, and they're running their own paid search campaign, which is a little bit cheeky. You want it, we got it. Visit our site to see Old Spice commercials. They're really banking on the success of these commercials. So I thought that was interesting and wanted to call that out. Tactics, again, engaging your audience, establishing a brand persona, somebody that's simple, memorable, maybe doesn't have to be a somebody, but making sure your brand has a personality and that touch.
It could be meerkat.
Unicorn. Could be anything.
Yes, it could.
As long as it reflects your brand. A brand persona, that's important. That was a big part of this campaign. He's something to grab onto that's a little more appealing than soap.
Well, guys like him and girls like him. So
deodorant. Personalization, speaking directly to your audience, this epitomized that concept. And again, ease of sharing and purchase. They really did a great job integrating all their sites. Everything's got Facebook Open Graph into it. That has really propelled the spread of this campaign. Twitter, obviously, has been huge. Technology and tools that you could apply. None of us, I don't know that too many of us on the line today would purchase a Super Bowl spot. But again, we've harped on Google TV and being able to apply these tactics in channels that work with your budget. This could have been a billboard campaign. It just wouldn't have spread as quickly.
No, it wouldn't have.
I think the three biggest takeaways that we've covered here today, no matter what, the first is that if you incorporate, Lisa just touched on this, strategy, creativity, and promote your message strongly using these new channels, you're bound to see some bottom line impact.
Even if you're using 3 of the 4 channels, or if you start off with Twitter and Facebook and kind of measure those results, and then you want to add on YouTube, and getting more adoption and starting slower or smaller, like I mentioned earlier.
Definitely. This is my favorite, the billboard law. I think I made this up. I could be wrong. But no matter what you're considering when you're looking at marketing and advertising, your audience will respond to one of 3 things, and you have to figure out where your brand fits in. And you either need to be providing entertainment, and that doesn't necessarily have to be comedy, but make it entertaining, make it relevant to their time and place, or offer some sort of utility. iPhone apps in particular, I always think about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the marketing fundamentals.
They've remained the same. That was the biggest point here. Consumer behavior, thanks to the web and sort of real-time responses of Twitter, and the tools we have available as marketers have changed. So
there we have it.
Questions?
So it's time for us to play What Technology Are We Using and How Do We Use It? We're going to take some questions now that have come in advance and during the webinar. Just 1 second. Okay. That one you highlighted, I'm guessing, is the one that you would like me to read.
Is Dominos one of Oneupweb's customers? No.
But it could be arranged.
We would gladly take them on. That brings up a good point. I didn't call it out as we went through each slide, but at the bottom of every slide in the beginning of a new campaign, I did call out the actual agency that created that campaign. None of these were our clients.
Exactly. We typically don't include our clients in these presentations. I think we did include 1 or 2 in one of the earlier ones, but and we may, but it's not standard practice for us to include our clients. Okay.
Was the SynCap study B2C firms, or did it include B2B? That's a good question, and I would have to go back through and double check. I do believe it included both. It was just exclusively looking at brand pages and the value of their fans.
Okay, so
we've got a couple of people asking also about PowerPoints of the slides. We have recorded this entire presentation. It will be made available at the Digital Roadshow microsite. In addition, an email will go out with a link to the recording for all of our registrants. And either I can't read or
replay. There's a question here about a replay afterwards. There won't be a replay, but I don't know if you just covered that. This presentation is being recorded, and the PowerPoint will be available in that recording. It's an audio-video recording.
Correct. Additionally, people are asking, when can you access the recorded version? A couple of good ways to do it. It should be up within about a week. We will put that up on the Digital Roadshow microsite. Again, it will be emailed. The link will be emailed to all of today's attendees. And additionally, stay tuned for our upcoming webinar series. The easiest way to do that is to subscribe to our newsletter. And if you go to oneupweb.com/news, you can sign up for our monthly newsletter, which is where we announce and launch all of our new webinar topics and open series registration.
Okay, question that's popped up, how to spell Syncast. That's available on the slides. You'll be able to get that after we're done today if you get the presentation off of the Oneupweb microsite. Mm-hmm. That's there. What tips would you give for B2B campaigns?
The biggest question of them all. You know, a good campaign to look at, and we had to carve it out today because we can only fit so much into this time frame, was Volkswagen's Fun Theory. And while that's a car company, they came up with the Fun Theory campaign. If you go to funtheory.com, you can really take a look at it, to promote a very sophisticated technology, a technology that made their cars more environmentally friendly, which is very much an issue that B2B companies face, software marketers, technology marketers, those sorts of things. And I think if we had to give any tips for B2B campaigns, it's don't forget that you're marketing to people. You're just marketing to more than one person. You've got more than one person that essentially is going to have to make a decision whether or not to work with your brand and your company.
Correct. I was just, sorry. I was reading the next question. My eyes are getting worse. I didn't think I was that old, but the screen resolution is pretty small. What would you suggest as an approach to marketing a topic which has a very limited, specialized audience as opposed to pizza and deodorant? Well, you know, there are lots of different ways that you can go about it. It really depends a lot. B2B is a tricky animal, and it depends upon what space, because within B2B there are so many different sectors. You know, we're not selling a consumer product. We're selling a professional business service, or we're selling manufacturing, or something that really isn't as easy to kind of wrap your head around. Now, depending on what sector you fall in, you know, webinars are a great tool. You know, we do one a month. I would definitely recommend it if you have a topic that would be of interest to your audience. And if you don't have a newsletter, sign up to market your webinars and the events that you're going to be promoting. Get one in place yesterday. But webinars, definitely having a Facebook channel. You know, some people talk about today the fact that firewalls block off access to Facebook from their employees and so on and so forth, and that is true. However, there's a certain percentage of that population out there that isn't blocked off, and they will connect with you on Facebook, and they will help promote the word. And that day is going to come when firewall access is lightened up, because Facebook is now as important as a search engine. It's the place where people are finding information. So getting those basics in place, making sure you have a newsletter subscriber list, making sure that you're putting the word out there to your targeted audience by tailoring a message to them through a webinar, getting your social channel, at least Facebook, established and start building friends. What do you have to add?
I think you covered that one.
YouTube,
well.
if you could do some sort of, if it's a product demonstration or something that you could demo, YouTube is a great help. But again, like anything else, if you haven't got a way to get people there, or you have no way to communicate with people initially, it's really hard to establish any value with those.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't reiterate enough that you have to focus on the fundamentals that are driving these campaigns. Think about the value that your business, be it products or solutions, whether you're a business-to-business company or a niche consumer market, think about the value that your specific company offers to its customers, and then use these new tools that you have available to communicate with them. Can you read that one?
I'm reading through. There's so many of them here that I'm trying to read through here. There's some reference about a question related to SEO. I'm sorry, Kathy, we haven't seen it. Maybe you want to send it in again. Some of these are pretty lengthy.
Looks like somebody's asking about what is a minimum budget that should be allocated for a grassroots campaign to have a chance of success.
Minimum, I'll pull this one out of the air. 50, 60,000. Is that minimum?
Yeah, it's
you can do it for less. It can be done for a lot less, but we're going to assume that you don't have millions to hire an agency and invest in the TV ads, and we're going to assume that you have more than zero. Otherwise, you're probably a 3 or 4 person company, and you're having to handle everything internally on your own. So if you kind of want to blend that and handle some of it in-house and handle some of it outside at an agency like Oneupweb, shameless plug, you're probably going to need a budget around that, and I think it's reasonable. And honestly, it's probably the low end.
Yeah. Strategy will deliver that return, though, and it will get off the ground, ideally. The last question, any thoughts on applications on the phone? How fast do we search the mobile market?
I don't know if you're referring to statistics. Mobile is one of the fastest growing marketing channels going right now, and it's important. I know that us personally, we're investing a lot in iPhone application development. We are doing that for clients. We're doing it for ourselves. There are a lot of inherent concerns with the different mobile devices and resolutions, and there's a lot of complication, but there's different ways to solve the problems. And in terms of statistics and growth, I don't have those numbers today. That isn't what we were here to talk about, but maybe we make that a future webinar.
That is a good idea.
Well, I think we need to work on wrapping it up today. There are some more questions here. I apologize that we can't get to all of them right now. I hope that you've found some useful information here. Please, we know that this has gone by quick and there's a lot of information that we're sharing with these campaigns. I would suggest that you go to the Oneupweb, the Roadshow website. It's roadshow.oneupweb.com, and download that one-page PDF that will give you the URLs, and just spend a little time tooling around here, because it does all start making sense when you start looking at all the pieces of the puzzle.
It definitely does. And again, I shamelessly plugged our newsletter earlier. We will soon be announcing a new white paper, and we also, this is again, like I said, where we announce an open registration for our upcoming Digital Roadshow series. We do this on a monthly basis. August will be our next episode.
We're talking about website design.
We're going, yeah.
But it's more than website design. It's really a new theory about what makes websites work better. And it's that Whitepaper is available for download on the Oneupweb site if you go to the Whitepapers section. But it's a phenomenal piece of research that Catherine, our internal researcher, put together. It's a theory that's been updated. There have been some theories around for a very long time. They're old and they're tired, and the web and the internet have changed. So it took her several months, lots of research, lots of theory into this, and it's written in such a way that the average, the layman can understand it. And those of you in marketing, it'll make sense. I would highly recommend that, and we'll be doing our webinar on more effective website design next month.
Really breaking down that paper. You can also get it at the Digital Roadshow microsite. It's up in the bottom of the page right now. You can link directly to it. It's free.
Okay. Well, I think that does it for us. Appreciate your time. We know it's valuable. Hopefully you took something away from this today. If you're in need of any of the services that we discussed, please feel free to give us a call and join us next month. Thank you.